Hello and welcome back, adventurer, to the Leviathan Sound. As always, I'm your host, Sir Aaron Von Drake, and tonight we have a special guest tonight. Well, sort of. She unfortunately fell asleep on the flight here, but she did give us a nice clear sky, so I am fortunate for that. So, again, thank you, Lady Armia. Now then, tonight we will be reading 3 stories, since all 3 are short. We will be reading The Golden Key, Sharing Joy and Sorrow, and The Nail. I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Let's begin, shall we? The Golden Key. In the wintertime, when deep snow laid on the ground, a poor boy was forced to go out on the sledge to fetch wood. When he had gathered it together and packed it together, he wished, as he was so frozen with cold, not to go home at once, but to light a fire and warm himself a little. So he scraped away the little snow, and he was thus clearing the ground. He found a tiny gold key. Hereupon he thought that there were the key. I'm sorry, I'm a little messing up today. Hereupon he thought that there were the key was, the luck must be also, and dug in the ground and found an iron chest. If the key does but fit it, thought he, no doubt there are precious things in that little box. He searched, but no keyhole was there. At last he discovered one, but so small that it was hardly visible. He tried it, and the key fit it exactly. He then turned it once around, and now he must wait until he has quite unlocked it and opened the lid, and then we shall learn what wonderful things were laying in that box. That is the end of The Golden Key. Sharing Joy and Sorrow. There was once a tailor who was quarrelsome fellow, and his wife, who was good, indigenous, and poised, never could please him. Whatever she did, he was not satisfied, but grumbled and scolded, and knocked her about and beat her. As the authorities at last heard of it, they had him summoned and put in prison in order to make him better. He was kept there for a while on bread and water, and then set him free again. He was forced, however, to promise not to beat his wife any more, but to live with her in peace and share joy and sorrow with her, as married people ought to do. All went well for a time, but then he fell into his old ways, and was surely and quarrelsomely. And because he dared not beat her, he would seize her by her hair and tear it out. The woman escaped from him and sprang out into the yard. But he ran after her with his yard measure and scissors, and chased her about, and threw the yard measure and scissors at her, and whatever else came in his way. When he hit her, he laughed, and when he missed her, he stormed and swore. This went on so long that the neighbors came to the wife's assistance. The tailor once again summoned before the magistrates, and reminded of him his promise. "Dear gentlemen," he said, "I have kept my word. I have not beaten her. I have shared joy and sorrow with her." "How can that be?" said the judge, "when she continuously brings such heavy complaints against you?" "I have not beaten her, but just because she looked so strange, I wanted to comb her hair with my hand, and she, however, got away from me and left me quite spitefully. Then I hurried after her, and in order to bring her back to her duty, I threw at her as well meant. I do not know how to pronounce this word. Admonitioned whatever came rapidly to hand. I have shared joy and sorrow with her also, for whenever I hit her, I was full of joy, and she was of sorrow, and if I had missed her, she was of joy, and I sorry." The judge were not satisfied with his answer, but gave him the renewed deserved. That is the end of sharing joy and sorrow. And finally, the nail. A merchant had done good business at the fair. He had sold his wares and lined his money bags with gold and silver. Then he wanted to travel homewards and be in his own house before nightfall. So he packed his trunk with the money on his horse and rode away. At noon he rested in town, and when he wanted to go farther, a stable boy brought out his horse and said, A nail is wanting, sir, in the shoe of its left hind foot." "Let it be wanting," answered the merchant. "The shoe will certainly stay on for 6 miles. I still have. I am messing up quite a bit today, aren't I? I have still to go. I am in a hurry." In the afternoon, when he once more alighted and had his horse fed, the stable boy went into the room and to him said, "Sir, a shoe is missing from your horse's left hind foot. Shall I take him to the blacksmith?" "Let it still be wanting," answered the man. "The horse can very well hold out for a couple of miles which remain. I am in a haste." He rode forth, but before long the horse began to limp. It had not limped long before it began to stumble, and it had not stumbled long before it fell down and broke its leg. The merchant was forced to leave the horse where it was, and unbuckle the trunk, take it on his back, and go home on foot. And there he did not arrive until quite late at night. "And that unlucky nail," he said to himself, "has caused all this disaster. Make haste slowly." I hope you enjoyed tonight's stories. If you did, please leave a comment down below. And if you'd like to leave your own story, please do not hesitate to follow and link. Follow and leave a link to your story at the Facebook channel. Thank you, and have a good night.